and Vegetable Garden Radio Show with your hosts, Joey and Hallie Baird.
Welcome back. It is our final segment of our final show of Season 3. We do this each year. We go through and we thank many people who have allowed us to do what we have done and accomplished. Holly, you've got some people that you want to and then thank, and then I've got some people I want to thank, and then we'll talk about what's coming up for 2020 Season 4.
Right. So one person I want to thank is my friend Laura. She does all of the voiceovers that you hear and maybe don't pay attention to every week. And she's an amazing friend and a person, and I appreciate her hard work. I'm going to play this over for her later because I know she's not listening right now. And, yeah. So
she finds it weird to hear her voice.
She does find it weird, yes, to hear her voice, but she still does it.
Yeah, so. It's good. Obviously good at what she does because we use her each year as we change things up. Other things...
Excuse me?
Yeah,
this is my time.
Yeah, I know. Go ahead.
I want to thank my family. They are amazing people as well, even if it's just making us laugh or being supportive or what have you, sending us text messages during the program saying, hey, this is not, I can't hear you, or sending me a funny meme or whatever. That's always great.
I mean, people think you just walk in the studio and you talk for an hour and everything's wonderful. There's hours and years of preparation to do this.
Okay. Would you just chill?
Yeah.
I also want to thank you, Joey.
Oh,
you always say, yeah.
Oh, now I get to talk.
Yeah, you always say I'm your best friend, co-host, gardening partner, whatever you say. And you're also my best friend, co-host, and gardening partner. And you are an incredibly hard worker yourself. And I really appreciate all the work that you put into making this happen. You do all the good guest stuff. And also, you know, like you mentioned, we have some behind-the-scenes stuff. Yeah. And I couldn't imagine, even though we've had issues, there's been positive stuff too, but issues. And who else could I roll my eyes to but you?
Right. Our sound engineer has something...
I never talk in this show.
No.
But certainly if folks could just see the off-air part of what goes on behind the scenes, and some great funny times with the sailboat. How did that go? She was
sailboat trailer expert.
Yeah. I just had to chime in there. Certainly going to miss you guys. I mean, it's your final show. I think I've been with you the bulk of this. Yeah. This whole entire time.
You've been with about 100 shows of the 105 that we've had somewhere in that range.
So, I mean, it's the team's breaking up. All right. Thank you.
Yeah.
Thank you.
And when he means that, we are switching stations next year, and I'll get to that in a moment and explain the reasons why. But each year, we take time out of this on this portion to talk about how things have gone, and we have to thank WNOV as the flagship station. They've been with us from the very beginning.
And they gave us our
They gave us our start. Yeah, we met with other stations in the city of Milwaukee, and they all gave us excuses of why they wouldn't carry our show and why our show wouldn't be good to have on the air. And we talked to WNOV, Homer, and Miss Robinson. Those are the major players here at the station. And they accepted and was very excited to have us on the program, have our program on the air. And we have to also thank WAAM Radio, WAAM 1600 and 90 WAAM 1600 AM and 92.7 FM, broadcasting our show throughout Southeast Michigan. We'll be back with them next year. WWDB 860 AM in Philadelphia. We appreciate them having our show this year, and KMET 1490 out of Banning, California. This is the first year for multiple stations across the country, and next year we are making very, very large changes. We will be on it will be in 9 cities on 13 stations throughout the country, March through October. A very big change for us, a very big step in that way. I will list off the stations in a few moments, so people who are in those areas may actually be able to hear us on their radio station and not have to rely on catching us on podcast replay. With that being said, Milwaukee, we talked about we're going to be switching stations from WNOV 860 AM. Not because of anything they've done, but it's a decision that Holly and I have made.
It's just a business decision.
We will always be grateful to WNOV for giving us the start. We'll be moving to Joy 1340 and 98.7 on Saturday mornings, 7 to 8 a.m. March through October, the podcast, the in-studio video will be the same as it has always been, but we will always be greatly appreciative of WNOV because without them, we would not have got our start in that. Now, what I'm about to say, if you're not a God person or spiritual person, none of this is going to make any sense to you whatsoever. We went into this in 2016 working towards the goal of having a radio show. We had talked to people in the industry, and we'd always wanted to have a TV garden show in the Milwaukee area. And we talked to people, and they said, that's great, everybody wants to be on TV, but your focus needs to be on radio, where you can have the most success, the biggest impact, to share the knowledge in which you're trying to teach people. So we reached out to the Milwaukee stations, and WNOV graciously accepted our invitation or our request, and said, if you bring the money, you can have the airtime. And for people who may not be aware of this, we pay for the airtime on all the markets and all the stations across the country. That's what the sponsors do in order to allow us to have that privilege to be on the air. And that some people are not aware of that, and that's just not common knowledge that is out there. And for 2020 in the 9 markets, 13 stations, we will pay for that airtime. We spend hundreds of hours each year emailing and calling upon thousands of companies local to our Milwaukee area and each station's local area and national in order to pay for the airtime, because we cannot do this ourselves without the financial help of our sponsors, and we appreciate you supporting them. And we do this from a spiritual standpoint, and we rely on faith. And the biblical preaching of faith is the substance of the things hoped for, but the evidence of things not yet seen. We have faith that we will have a show in 2020, even though we're not yet funded for that show or the airtime. But we have the faith to believe that we will be granted that. We've been granted by God for 3 years in order to have the airtime. And people who are not even spiritual, there's a certain amount of faith that they have as well, that they have faith that the car coming down the road towards them is not going to run into them. So no matter who you are, there's faith there, whether you believe it or not. We rely solely on faith for the sponsors we rely solely on faith to find the sponsors, to lead us to the sponsors, for the sponsors to lead us, to be led to us, and in order to have a relationship with them and agree upon a sponsorship deal and be on the air for the coming year. It's an extremely difficult task in order to fund a program like this, but over the 3 years we have been able to do that. The biblical preaching also is, you have not because you ask not, and if the Father finds favor, He will grant you with that request. And we rely solely on that. That is our guiding light to this program and allowing us to be funded for the years to come and to share our garden knowledge not only to you but other individuals throughout the country. It's like that the story that has been told from many, many years ago of a little community, farm community down south. They were very, very dry, hadn't had rain for many weeks, and the community came together and said, we have to have a prayer meeting to pray for rain. So the townspeople came into the church going to go pray for rain on a Tuesday evening, all carrying a Bible in hand like you're supposed to when you go into church, except for one little girl. She had a Bible in one hand, but she had an umbrella in the other. She was ready to receive the gift in which they were asking for. And that's with anything in life. If you ask for something, you have to have the platform in order to receive it. If you want to find somebody, you have to make an opening for that person to come into your life. If you want a new car, you have to have an opening for that new car to set in the driveway, something of that. So keep that in mind. In a moment, I'll talk to you about the stations we will be on, but it is forever. We will forever be grateful to this station here in Milwaukee, WNOV 860 AM and FM 106.5 FM, for what they have done, the platform which they've granted, and you, the listening audience, for giving us the opportunity to come into your world each and every week to share our gardening knowledge with you. Now, to list the stations we will be on next year. This may be boring to some of you. Others, you may listen and go, that station, I listen to that station. That's good, because we have concentrated and looked at the download numbers we have gotten, and we're hitting those high markets where you guys are downloading the show from, and we're actually physically going to be on the radio. Now, we also will be on the podcast replay and in-studio video replay, so don't feel bad if you're in an area which our program is not going to be heard on terrestrial radio. You'll still be able to get it on the podcast replay and in-studio video replay from your podcast providing website and our website, the WisconsinVegetableGardener.com. As we indicated, we'll be on Joy 1340 and 98.7 FM here in Milwaukee, Saturday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Central Standard Time. Returning back to WAAM Radio, 1600 AM and 98.7 FM, WAAM there out of Ann Arbor, Michigan, Sunday morning, 7 to 8 a.m. Eastern Standard Time. And returning to Banning, California on KMET, 1490 AM, Tuesday mornings, 9 to 10 a.m. Pacific Standard Time. Everywhere we will be next year will be March through October, excluding Banning, which will be April through October. Just the way it worked out because of their growing zone. New markets we will be in is Elgin, Illinois, and WRMN 1410 AM, Sunday afternoons, 12 to 1 p.m. Central Standard Time, and Chippewa Falls, Wisconsin on WOGO 680 AM and FM 103.1, Sunday mornings 9 to 10 a.m. Central Standard Time, and we'll be over in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Big concentration of listeners over there. How are you doing? We'll be on Health Talk Radio, KDIZ, 1570 AM, Saturday afternoons, 3 to 4 p.m. Central Standard Time. And if you missed the program there, catch it on Sunday afternoons. We'll be on from 4 to 5 p.m. Central Standard Time with a replay of Saturday's show. Over in Boston, WCRN 830 AM, Saturday mornings, 10 to 11 a.m. Eastern Standard Time, and Delta, Utah, KYAH 540 AM. That broadcast all the way up through Salt Lake City, Saturdays from 1 to 2 p.m. Mountain Standard Time, and the replay Sunday evenings, 9 to 10 p.m. Mountain Standard Time. And finally, St. Joseph, Missouri, that broadcast through the Kansas City area and quite a bit of the Missouri area, will be on KFEQ 680 AM and FM 107.9, Sunday mornings 10 to 11 a.m. The Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener will be broadcast and be heard in some part of 17 different states in the Union. Now, all of these stations will be listed later on in the year on our website and on our social media platforms, and they all can be available on the TuneIn app, and the Simple Radio app. So you may not be close enough to hear it, but it's available there. So we will see you next year for Season 4 of the Wisconsin Vegetable Gardener Radio Show.
For more information, please visit thewisconsinvegetablegardener.com.